Hello, everyone. My name is Clayrox. I've spent the past 2 years going through most of the Final Fantasy games. You'll see which ones I haven't here in just a few minutes. I'm looking at one begrudgingly, and another one just with a bizarre look on my face, I'm sure. But I guess let's get down to it. I told someone I would make this list. It is, I think, a year in the making, because I'm just a lazy. Let's try to keep it YouTube safe. I'm just lazy. There we go. All right, now let's continue. So, I might as well just start off with one. What can I say about Final Fantasy 1? The granddaddy, wait, maybe the great granddaddy of Final Fantasy games. I guess maybe I should go over the tier list. All right, so S, perfect game. Ain't gonna be many of these. A list, great games. Gonna be a few. B are good games, which I would say most of these are, but some of them tip over and some of them fall off. C are mediocre, and D are bad games. Probably gonna be one or two in here. But know that I am a Final Fantasy fanboy, so I'm probably gonna fuck this up for anyone who watched this because they don't believe what it should be. All right, so back to where I was. Sorry for that tangent. First video, you'll have to excuse me. So Final Fantasy 1, the great granddaddy of Final Fantasy, turn-based job system. Let's see, evolution of the jobs, which was really cool. I've only ever played the PS1. Wait. Yeah, the wait, was it PS1? Yeah, it was PS1. The PS1, and then the weird port that they have on Steam. There's a newer one, the Pixel remake, that I have not played yet, but it's really hard to fuck up a really simple formula. So, you know what? It is going to be the middle ground. Everything better than this is above, everything worse than this is below. As is, you know. Although I do wonder how that's going to work if I have to add more. So, then Final Fantasy 2. Final Fantasy 2, I know, is a problem child for a lot of people. It takes away the leveling. It takes away the more... I would say it's much less structured than Final Fantasy 1, like, story-wise. Well, no, maybe not story-wise, but I feel that Final Fantasy 1 holds your hand and it pulls you along on the adventure. Whereas in Final Fantasy 2, you just have to hold everyone else's hand, let's say your party members, and just drag them along. And I thought, for the longest time, because I hadn't played through Final Fantasy 2, but I'd watched Rabtoon's, Final Fantasy 2 in a nutshell video. I thought everyone dying was a meme. Also, spoilers are going to be in this video. Maybe I should have done that about 3 minutes ago. Sorry. But then everyone dies, and some of them, it's very heartfelt. Some of them, it's like, oh, thank God you're finally fucking gone. And every time, you're like, alright, what's it going to be? What is going to fuck these people about to get them killed? And all except 2, I think. But, but aside from that, it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. Actually, I think I'll go with that instead. So you have to be at least C tier to be... Yeah, let's go. Because I think Final Fantasy 2 is above 1, but only just slightly. See, I know a lot of people had problems with the combat system, which I don't think any other game has really done it much, except maybe the Saga games and then Last Remnant. I think it was Last Remnant. Yeah. Sorry, I have that. I need to play that eventually too, but oh, I'm not looking forward to it. Rush only. But I loved I thought it was a little. It, like I said, it doesn't hold your hand, but I love the idea of like a keyword system where like, oh shit, it's like, yo, they said the thing, they said the funny haha word, but for realsies, like it's played for real. So there's a bit of camp. The combat system I really enjoyed. If even though it made the game almost easily broken, let's go like that, because you can spend 2 or 3 hours in the beginning area. You can get strong enough to veer off a path right at the beginning to go and fight much stronger enemies. And from then on, it's just an absolute cakewalk. You don't have to worry about anything again, except how the spell levels work. Those suck. I mean, I really liked it. I really like leveling up spells because, you know, going from like Fire 1 to Fire 16, that shit was awesome. I loved it. And I told myself I was going to make this YouTube safe, and yet here I am cursing. I apologize, but there is such a gradient on being powerless to being absolutely like destruction incarnate. And you can go back and forth on that gradient through the entire game almost, if you'd like. Because you can get just strong enough and then stop. And then you can play through and the game can still be a challenge, or you can be an absolute mad lad like I was. And I'm like, nah, I just want to completely beat this game. So I power leveled for maybe 4 or 5 hours, I think. All my guys, super strong. All my magic, super good. All my attacks, you know, there's like a skill level for attacks as well. I wish they had brought that back. I love that too. You were very strong. The only people who weren't strong were the extra characters that you got to take up your 4th party slot. It was a little shit for them. Sorry, guy, that your weapon skills were so shit because I didn't have a 4th party member all the times I was grinding. What can you do? But you know what? I definitely think it goes there. Now, Final Fantasy III. I only ever played the 3DS version, which, or 3DS, the DS version, excuse me, which was also kind of 3D, but not in the same way. But basically, 3 was the introduction of the Onion Knight, I believe, although I akin it more to how the Final Fantasy Tactics started you out with a Squire. And Final Fantasy III, I feel, was about 30% longer than it had to be. Although, the big reveal with the world, excellent, I loved it, great stuff. The job system, that took a little bit of getting used to. I'm glad that they refined that in 5, because I think 5 was infinitely better as a job system than 3 was. Because whenever you switch jobs in 3, you'd become weakened. And then you had to, you know, fight X so many fights just to make sure, you know, that you weren't going into a boss fight. All right, guys, let's get him. And then he just immediately stomps all over you because, you know, you're missing half your stats. That is, if I'm recalling the job switch right. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But, you know, you get an airship early. You know, you immediately think when you get an airship early, it's like, oh, hot damn. You know, this is how, like, Final Fantasy games should be. Then you immediately destroy that SOB in a mountain to cross it. Well, that was short-lived. And then you have to walk and boat around like the peasants you are for the following, I'm going to say 15 hours. I don't think 3 was very long, but I definitely think it was longer than it had to be. And that is a little disheartening whenever a game is it's a good length, but you think it should have ended earlier. I think a lot of games have that. I think one game that kind of suffers from that, but I'm pretty sure people really like it, is Resident Evil 4. I don't think they like it for that reason, but there's just a point where you're like, oh, sweet Jesus, just let this end. So, for that, I think it's a good game. It is, however, going to be absolute bottom of B tier. Absolute bottom of B tier. Because it does everything 1 did, but better. Including jobs. Including story. Including characterization. Well, yeah. I'll keep it. Final Fantasy IV. There we go. That's all that needs to be said. I hate 4. I don't like 4. 4, well, I'm not even going to say 4 is garbage. 4 is a good game, but I don't like 4. I don't like it at all. This is solely subjective on my part. Please do not read into anything maliciously aligned for this. I just do not like 4. I've played every goddamn version of 4, and I hate every one of them. They're all bad, except the PS1, was it Chronicles? The one that came with Chrono Trigger. And the only reason I don't hate that one is because I think fondly of Chrono Trigger. That is it. That's all you're getting. Nothing more. You know, Dark Knight and the Paladin, cool. Summoner, yeah. The ninja, the edge. It was a good game story-wise, but I hate the game, and this is my tier list, so that's where it's going to go. And because it just has the 4 name on it, that is where it's going. That's not true. Hold on, let me switch this. Ah, fuck. Come on. Come back. And done. Oh, wait. I didn't play After Years. AF. Alternate Future? No, After. No, it's the After Years. Maybe it's just AF. I didn't like 4, so I chose not to play After Years. I was done with 4. I wanted to get the fuck away. I want nothing to do with it. I wipe my hands of this. I'm done. I'm done. So, apologies for people who like the After Years. Wasn't for me. Then we move on to 5. 5 is in a bit of a weird state for me. Really love the job system. I like the world. I don't love the world. I like the world. The job system really is the best thing about it. And I know there's a lot of there's a lot of love for just the overall, you know, the world building it kind of does, which I really think they expanded on in 6. But I don't think that the game is overly very good. But there is just something about getting all these jobs and leveling them up and then continuing on your journey. And it's like having a giant multi-piece puzzle. And it's not so much that you need to have all of them to fit together. It's that you can mix and match and make your own solution, which I really liked. I don't think I did it very well. It's usually after I beat a game that I can go back and I'm like, oh shit, now that I know how to do this, I can experiment a bit. And with 5, even after playing this game for what I feel like is years, because I got it on the anthology, I think it was the anthology that had 5 and 6 way back when on PS2 or PS1. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I think it was PS1. It's been so long. It's been so long. Point is that Final Fantasy V, good game. Yeah, you know, good game. Good game. Good good systems. Same turn-based combat. Not so good. I think as I get older, I actually prefer action combat, which I can look back and see that, you know, during the time, yes, good. And I try not to let that cloud this tier list, because I do want this to be semi-legit, and for the most part it is. Subjective. But for 5, I would definitely say that it's above 3, but not as good as 2, believe it or not. Now, you see 6, you know the memes, you know where it's gonna go. You're like, what are you doing? You just put it up here. It'll be fine. But no, that's not where I'm gonna put it. I like 6. I do. But the thing is, I played the shitty port. And because that's like the only one I ever played, that's clouding my judgment. I try to put these in a tier list where it'll be the point where I first played them. I didn't play 6 until like 2 years ago. I played the beginning of 6 a few times. Then I'm just like, fuck it. I don't care. but I only ever really got far and beat 6 2 years ago. And because of, I had to do a lot of modding to make it not look like a mobile port garbage trash fire that it is. Square Enix, you suck. I hope you get better. And I do hope it's not terminal. But, a bunch of different characters. A bunch of different... You can't... I'm assuming you can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm going to emphasize by saying it. Quotation jobs for the people. You know, thief, rune knight, dragoon, monk, you know, samurai, or swordsman, or knight, depending, for a boy who doth speak the old language. Cyan. But, and then the Esper system, where it lets you basically build your character aside from leveling up. Loved it. I think it got a little obtuse in The World Ends With You, or The End of the World? No, The World of Ruin. I was like, what the fuck am I thinking of? The World Ends With You. Is that an anime? Point is, it probably is an anime. Point is, so, story, really good. I really enjoyed the story. See, the combat system, turn-based. What can you do? We're gonna be in turn-based for quite a while. Actually, you know what? I didn't actually mind the turn-based in 10.2. And then, oh boy, then these two. However, and then, look where we're going. All right, sorry. Let's continue. Story was good. I do like the not the branching paths, but the interwovenness. It did what a good book did. It got me invested. Like, yeah, fucking, I want to go. But then, you know, it fucking flips you. It just pulls you right away from those characters that you've just gotten invested in, and it sends you elsewhere. Like, whenever they sent me into the town to find Celeste as Locke, I didn't care. I wanted to go back. I want to play someone else. I want to be with the full party. But then as Locke, you know, I'm still in guard's clothes. I'm still in merchant's clothes. I'm saving this girl. I'm going through. I am fighting a giant Magitech mole drill that's casting magic. And the only reason I'm not dying right now is because I just have Celeste spamming runic every turn. Every turn. Couldn't use cure magic while I'm using that. If anyone else had it. But you know what? That's what you do. So I think it definitely belongs in A tier. It's not S tier, though. There's very obvious problems. But let's go ahead and move on to my baby. The whole reason why I started playing through all these, and by play I mean stream. I stream at twitch.tv/clayrox. Please come over and join if you'd like. Alright, very bad shilling out of the way. I started streaming all these because I was going to go through the mainline, because until I'd done this, I'd beaten 8, and I had beaten 9 and 10. Those are the only games out of all of these that 13 too. 13 as well. Not 13-2, just regular 13. They're the only ones I had beaten. I was like, I want to go through the entire series for 7 Remake before it hits PC, because I'm a PC gamer. PCMR for life, console plebs, elitists, that's what I am. Sorry for that weird tangent. So, starts you off in Midgar. You go through the world of Gaia, cross an ocean, you know, you fucking gamble away. Well, I say gamble? Was it really gambling? I did spend a lot of time at the battle arena, though. That was a fun time. So, I know that the class system in 7 was basically taken away. You could build the characters however you want, even if they were a little bit... there was very little shoehorning in terms of character classes. The limit breaks and the individual weapons themselves were probably the biggest shoehorns. Like, for enemies that were flying, you had Barrett, Vincent, and Yuffie sometimes, depending on the weapon. And Red, if he had a certain hairpin. You know, fuck, where was I going with this? I'm not really sure. Oh, basically, Limit breaks were like the biggest ones. Weapons were the much, much smaller shoehorns. So you could build anyone any way you want until they fucking killed Earth, and then they took away my white mage. God damn it. However, I played the new threat mod because I'd played through most of 7 couple at least a dozen times. So I was like, I need something new. I need something fresh. That's what I'm gonna do. So I think 7 definitely belongs up here. I think it's a really great game. I can't say anything about it in an objective way because all I have are rose tinted goggles about 7. And this is original 7, not remake. It's just I really enjoy the game because it was the first Final Fantasy that I ever played. Way back in the day. And then 8. Oh, 8. 8 was such a weird game for me. I played through 8. My first time, I got all the way to Ultimacia's Castle back in... Fuck, when did it come out? 98, 99? I don't know. Point was, is that I got all the way to Ultimacia's Castle. How you increase your stats mostly is through junctioning magic to yourself. And and how you get the junction is by having the summons, which are called Guardian Forces. And there are, I want to say 18 or 20 Guardian Forces in the game total. I'm not really sure. I can't remember them all off the top of my head. I could try, but I'm not going to. Otherwise, it's going to be another 10 minutes to the game. Oh my gosh. See, look. I already think 8 is overly long. I'd only had the starting 3 that you get. That was all. And then I realized, oh, I'm playing this poorly. Let's try this again. So, you know, we go through and, well, I learned how to play. I was like, oh shit. So I play the game like you play a normal Final Fantasy. I go through, I grind, I get the Guardian Forces, I draw magic, I junction. And one of the big parts about the game is that all the enemies level with you. It's good to a point, because you never feel overpowered until you get, like, all the final weapons. Bad thing is, the more you over level, and the higher you get, the much stronger they get. So you have to kind of compensate. However, the game can be absolutely fucking broken by just playing the card game and by doing a low level run, which is insanely easy actually. A disc 1 Lionheart is Squall's last name, sorry. Lionheart is what I did whenever I streamed it a couple years back. And I gotta say, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. I beat Ultimacia, and I don't think I got I think I got his one special limit break. I like the game. Hate how the characters look. They look like a blocky mess. Even with the updated HD remaster, the characters look okay, but the backgrounds still look like garbage. You are getting high B, my dude. High B. That's where you belong. You're good, not great, but I do love you. Then comes 9. 9, I feel, was right in between the generations. Because, you know, 10 came out on the PS2. It was like almost like a flagship title for it. But then there was also 8, which was very realistic looking, which I feel like a lot of people probably didn't like, but also because the characters look like shit. And then 9 came along, and it's back to the weird body shapes. It also went back to like the job archetypes, which 8 had a little bit of, but it wasn't very pronounced. And 9, gosh, I think 9 is probably one of my favorites actually. I would put it above 7 in this had I played 9 first. But there are certain things I don't like about the battle system. How some enemies, whenever you attack them, they would go ahead and be like, oh, is it my turn again already? Don't mind if I do. And they would just cut in and cut in and cut in and cut in. And it would just increase the length of fights and just increase the amount of damage unnecessarily. But that is just me bitching and nitpicking. Characters were good. World building was good. Story was quite sad, actually. Quite sad. Although I think you have to infer a lot about the ending. But I think at some point you you realize what's gonna happen. There is enough foreshadowing to be done. Oh, and this game has probably one of the shittiest like in-game areas. I'm not even talking about Ozma, I'm just talking about the final dungeon you gotta do. Because as soon as you go into Disc 4 and you get a chance to go into the final dungeon, it blocks off a lot of other places. You know, with its weird roots. And the only reason I think it does that is because they didn't have enough disk space to let everyone go back to, you know, the before areas, at least back when. That's kind of what I'm basing this tier on. I really enjoyed 9. I never got the Save the Queen. I think that's what it was, or was it Excalibur 2? I think it was Excalibur 2. Because I could never get to Hades in 12 hours. However, big fun. Love the game. I'll probably play it again in future bit, but not for a while. And then comes Final Fantasy X. What can I say except, hold on, let me grab a drink. Ha ha! Oh god, I can't even do like the shitty laugh. But I played the HD remaster and I did the expert sphere grid. I think so, yeah. Some highlights. Expert sphere grid. I beat the Luca goers on my 3rd try. I forgot to get Titus's signet, and it was locked behind Dark Bahamut the entire time. So, let's see. I had ultimate weapons for Auron, Yuna, and Riku, I think, and those are the only 3, which kind of sucked. However, I think the pacing in the game is great. I like the fact that you can skip some things, so, you know, in case you screw up and you have to reset. Oh, if only all things were so good. I think, like, what else? I mean, the minigame was really good. Like, I didn't play it a whole lot because it's just kind of tedious. And I got my blitzballing out of the way in my younger years. I'm an old man now. You know, yeah. I'm afraid blitzball cutoff is like 25. Just like regular esports. Really like the characters. I really like the story. Even the cringy moments. Even the sad moments. The big revelations. They were all mind-blowing at the time. In fact, you know, some games I've called back to like how 10 was. I was like, you know what, if 10 hadn't done this, you know, 10, 15 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, that's some deep level shit, but 10 has done it before. So it's not quite so good. And I think because of that, I probably hold 10 in probably the highest esteem here. But less so from a like a combat standpoint, because there will be something else that's up here, I'm pretty sure. And more from just the story and the fun and the what felt, you know, like genuine and sincere. You know, you think about that and you're like, God damn, that was good, wasn't it? And I do think that. And then there's 10-2. I like 10-2. I like the combat in 10-2. I like the dress spheres in 10-2. I like being able to switch jobs on the fly. I thought the story was kind of bullshit, even if it gave you like a happy ending. Well, depending, I suppose. You don't always get a happy ending. Sometimes you got a happy ending. Sometimes you got a bad ending. Sometimes you got a really good ending. And sometimes you don't see the ending you have because Square Enix doesn't know how to make CGI go on some GPUs, so all you catch is a green screen. What can you do? What can you do? Let's see. It's very hard to you need a walkthrough for this because there's so much convoluted bullshit in this game that you're thinking, why do I have to do this? And then you have to double check and double check and double check and double check and run through it again. I think I restarted the game within the first 2 or 3 hours. 5 times. 5 times because I kept missing one small thing. What's that? At the very beginning of the game, you didn't go up to the person in the Moogle costume to get a free cure cast on you? Well, you're locked out of true ending. Doesn't matter, because I only got like 95% true ending, I suppose, or 95% completion. This is probably going to be the only one that goes behind 3. If only because just plot completion, obtuseness. No, maybe not obtuseness is the right word, but it's the game felt like it was constantly trying to hold you back from getting something, which it's okay, but it's not good. I put it up here because the game systems are good. The storyline is okay. Job system is great. The equipment stuff, not so much, but what can you do? 3.5. I'm going to put it in B, but at the very bottom of B. I want it below 3. Now let's go on to the MMO. The MMO is a special case for me, as I didn't play it until 10 years after. I think it was 10 years. I think it came out in 2001, I think. And I didn't play it until 2011. I played it with a friend of mine who fucking like lived and breathed Final Fantasy XI for, I'm gonna say at least 4 to 6 years. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask him again. But he loved the game. He had so much knowledge. He was the tome of infinite knowledge for 11. If I had a question, he'd be able to tell me. I think he even had like percentages for drop rates. I only have good things to say about 11, mostly. If only because I played it 10 years after, and I had someone there who, if I had any questions, he'd be able to answer them immediately. So because of that, I'm actually going to put this in C tier, because while I enjoyed 11, I did still have to sit around in Volcrum Dunes for a few hours at some point, waiting for a party. And as much as I would like to say, yeah, that's fine, I don't necessarily want to just be sitting AFK in Volcrum Dunes, you know, LF party, I'm a level 30 warrior, I don't even know if that was the proper level for Volcrum Dunes. I'm just spouting out. Oh, Final Fantasy 12. It's weird. I played the original, and then I streamed the Zodiac version, and I ended up modding in back the original job board. And you don't really know until you played like the Zodiac version, but having the full job board at your disposal, you are fucking strong all the time. You were always strong. But not just that. Aside from like the white bread, like the white bread sandwich, like player character Vaughn, which I don't think he had, except for Rex. You know, he's like, he's the first one you fall into. You don't understand like really what happened between the two of them. You know, it's like, he's his brother or whatever. Vaughn never really feels important. And as far as I remember from the plot, he's not. The entire thing could have been done without him. He's more of like a tag along. We are the fanboy, the groupie almost of the story. Pinello, his friend, Vaughn's friend, had more impact into the plot, I think. I think they were going more for like the plucky everyman with Vaughn, which they kind of did. Then they had the very flashy Balthier, you know, the man of the show, along with his woman of few words companion, which I never really found out what happened with them. I don't think I dug deep enough to know why they became a thing. Then you had Bosch von Bonsenburners, which the main characters of 12 most certainly were Ash and Bosch. It was almost what's the word? It was almost like the culmination of the two things. So Ash, the princess, and then basically the knight that was supposed to watch over and protect her, Bosch. That was basically the story. Had they decided to rein it back and not include, or no, not even include, if they decided to possibly fast forward the story a bit and kind of give you the context clues afterwards, I think you could have started out with as Bosch in the prison. Oops, I picked a little bit. Sorry about that. I think you could have started out in the prison and you could have just gotten small tidbits, you know. Other than that, I I like the job system. I say the job system, even though it was a job system, even though if you're like me, you get plagued by indecision whenever you only have 3 ways to access the extra part of the boards that are unavailable to you. But if you if you unlock the nodes to get to those bits of the board, you can also lock out other people from getting to theirs. And it is damn near crippling for me to make any decisions. I have to wait until the very end of the game when it doesn't fucking matter anymore. So that's the only to make any decision. So the entire time I've gotten to the point where it doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't matter anymore. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. You know, I'm not really going to hold that against it because again, I'm going from the PS2 release. But I think this game is definitely above 7. I know a lot of people like, it wasn't a very good Final Fantasy game. Wrong. I would say it's one of the best Final Fantasy games. Because it was exactly what people wanted and what people needed. That is to say, it grounded the story back, you know, from the mystical, you know, giant giant sea well of sin and the dual planet soul mixing of 9. Yeah, you had to fucking read into that, let me tell you. And then for the offshoot, which was RW Revenant Wings, which was an RTS-like game, didn't play it. Didn't play it. And it's not just because it was on Game Boy either. I think it was Game Boy. Maybe it was DS. I don't know. I would have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it was DS, actually. Didn't play. Don't care. Followed Vaughn. That kind of already turned me off the game. Ugh. I don't really give a shit about him. And then moving on to the next one, we have 13. Oh my god! We finally did it. We've been told about this game for what feels like fucking a decade. You know, we've seen little things. Fabula Nova Crystallis, or I'm pretty sure I messed that up. We've been waiting. We've seen the trailers. We've seen, you know, just the CGI, and we're like, whoa, oh man, yo, you seeing this? And then it turns out to be Final Fantasy Hallway 13. Well, up until chapter 11? Yeah, chapter 11. Then it opens up, and then it becomes like a right proper game. However, I don't think the linearity is a bad thing. A lot more people, I think, were more upset about the obtuseness. Have I said obtuseness like too many times? I'm gonna have to get at the source, I think. Um, but how so much of the world's lore was locked behind the data log because people don't like to read. I read. I had no problem understanding probably about 95% of the shit in the story. All you have to do is read. You're walking down a hallway, just, you know, park yourself on the side. All right. Where's that? Just sit down in the hallway, you know, take some notes, you know, read through them. Granted, there was a lot of them. There was a lot of notes to sift through to actually get the idea of the story through all the different keywords and shit. It was a mess. I will give you that. It was a jumbled mess of terms and definitions, and nobody wanted to parse that shit. I absolutely understand it. I did it. I don't understand the point. However, it's going in C tier. I love the end game. I did. I never did the death farming on the adamantortices? Adamantortices? I did a little bit of the end game. I think in the end, though, it set up just an absolutely batshit convoluted story. And you'll see that as I place the other games above 13. Speaking of the other games, here is 13-2. One of the main problems I had with 13 was if the character you were controlling died in battle, that was it. Game over. You have Phoenix Downs. You have like a heal spell that you use your TP with that you can heal and revive other players. But no, not you. Fuck you. You're dead. I hated that. 13-2 remedied that. So on that alone, it is already a better game. But people also complain, you know, not even that. I'm going to put it about midway through B tier, because I do think 13-2 was a really good game. They heard people complaining about the linearity. They're like, all right, you don't like linearity? Fine. It's like, here's like 20 or 30 different spots. There's multiple endings. Have fun. And I did. I had a lot of fun. Near the end, though, I was quite done with the game. And I missed quite a few side plots because I think I was possibly 50 hours deep. And I think I'd only completed about 60% of the game. And I wasn't even power leveling or doing anything like that. Although I did look at a monster guide to see, it's like, how can I make a really good one? But I was like, nah, screw it. I'm just getting through this. I'm done. I'm done. Let's go. And then I played the Lightning Returns immediately after that. And this one, I don't know what I was expecting. I was thinking Final Fantasy meets Dead Rising. And it kind of was, a little bit, but it was so much more than that. I think they dropped a lot of the lore and the plot as far as I understand. It just yeeted that shit out the window. All right, a lot of this doesn't matter anymore. Let's just finish this up nice and strong. Story was okay if disjointed. I knew where I was gonna put this, and now that I'm going through some of the things, I'm like, ooh, it doesn't belong there. So, the story was disjointed sometimes because you could. There was 4 main areas, and you could go through the quest individually if you want. You don't have to. You could just plow through each one and just as quick as you want. And that was actually a problem for me, is because I had spent. You have 13 days in total. Even though you start with 7, you gain more. Is it 7 or 6? I think it's 7. You start with 7 days, and you can gain more as you complete quests and get people's essence, power, whatever, for completing quests from them. And a big one is completing the main quest. And I had completed what was basically the entire game by day 5, I think. And the game doesn't end until, day 13. So I had 8 days to fuck about. And you know what I did on those 8 days? I exterminated the entire monster population that was left in this small world. That was kind of fun. It was kind of fun, if a little tedious, and sometimes kind of hard, because, oh boy. And then there was, I want to say, 2 super bosses. Those are super fun. I say super fun. I got my shit kicked an immeasurable amount of times. But it was fun. Let's see, there was like instead of a job system, instead what you have is, it kind of goes back to 10.2 with the dress spheres almost. You have a garb system, excuse me, garbs. And you basically, you take on the form. You can be, I don't think you have like the regular one, which is like, if you see any of the 13 lightning returns one, you'll see in like your red suit, you have something like that, which it's gives you like a slash and a guard, and then you can add additional abilities. You can only have 4, sadly. I think a little bit more would have been good, but you're also stuck with having like an ATB gauge. And so what you do is you switch around, and you use up the ATB, and the more you use up the ATB, the faster the others that aren't active recharge. And then you go through and you can mash and mash and mash. But there's also, instead of it just being basic turn-based combat. Sorry, I know I'm fucking this up. But I am kind of doing this off the dome, and I will try to do better next time. There's a thing where you guard, you can reduce damage by so much. But there's also abilities where you can time it. If you do good timings on attacks, you do bonus damage or crits. I'm not sure if it's called crits or if it's just bonus damage. And then for guards, you can just completely block the damage, which I got pretty good at, I want to say. I'm not trying to, suck my own dick here, but I was pretty good at it. So for me, solely on a combat and the equipment and the garb system alone, and even the story, because it did end in a good way that I felt good with, even if I had to do a lot of the extra shit at the end, it was still a really, really good game. I would say it's probably one of the best. And if nothing else, if you don't want to play any of the other games in the 13 series, I would say at least play 13. It will tell you all you need to know about the previous games, because it will just shell that shit right back out to you. I think it's almost ashamed by how just Nomura-esque the story is. They're like, oh, let's just tell them everything. And it's a fun game. It's not overly difficult, although it can be. There's a hard mode for it. What can you do? I didn't try it. Maybe next time whenever I go to play again. Although I will be playing it probably just regular new game. Because I'm one of those. If you beat X game with Y, you didn't beat it sorts. But we have one more game that's in the MMO genre, and that would be 14. I don't know how long 14's been out. I want to say 8 years. And I'm talking 2.0. I never played 1.0. Well, that is a lie. I tried to play 1.0. It didn't run on my computer. I had no chance to play it because I got like 15 frames outside the town. Inside the town, it was a goddamn, slideshow. I kind of like the combat, actually. I thought the idea of like a charging ATB gauge, almost like in 13 or in Lightning Returns, I thought that was really good. I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, I understand where the flaws are. And that was about as far as I got. It's like, man, I like the idea for the combat, but it's not very good. Then 2.0 came around, and then it basically became, I know some people aren't going to like this, me calling it this, but it was basically just WoW, but in Final Fantasy skin. Which is weird because I don't like WoW, but I really do like 14. I really like 14. I think maybe it's because it's all GCD locked, global cooldown locked. And I played through, 2.0, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood. Didn't like Stormblood very much. Thought 2.0 was alright. Heaven's Ward was good. Stormblood was a bit of a letdown. What can you do? I was gonna say, maybe, no. I would say all of Stormblood except like the what would you say, the in-game shit, the level cap stuff. That was bad. Not the level cap stuff was bad, but everything except the level cap stuff was bad. I didn't enjoy it. Then Shadowbringers hits, and you know what? That's good shit. That gets a chef's kiss from me, I'm afraid. Because that was good. And then Endwalker came out, and I was trying to level all my abilities, and then I burned out. So you know what? Fuck me. So I think 14 definitely belongs high B, not A. Because these games end, this one won't. And as Burnout has showed me, I can be stopped. Then we come to the very end of this. For now, anyway. Till 16 comes out. I have mixed feelings about 15. I want to put it here. Because at the end of it, I was done. Then I want to put it here. Not necessarily at the end, just in the tier itself. Because I did enjoy the game. Like, the combat was okay. I've been told it's better. I don't see it. I don't see how it can be better. But I did enjoy the game. I like the world. I like the characters in the world. And then, you know, I kind of want to put it here because it made me fucking feel things, you know? Like, I think I actually cried during during some parts of this game. It was... Oh god, it was a little rough. It was, man, I know I got teary-eyed at least. I know I got tearied, or misty-eyed, excuse me. It definitely does not belong here. Because it's not a really great game. It doesn't belong here because it's not a great game. At best, it belonged a little ways up on B. It's not an okay game. It's not base. But it's slightly better than base. But the main point for me is that you just have to say, nah fam, to all that bullshit. Just say, no, I don't need any of that bullshit. And you just need to be like, alright, let's do this. You need to go through the story. The more you go through the story with everything that happens, from, you know, finding a sword that you've impaled yourself with. Side note, I did not get all of the arms. I thought it was really weird how it looked like the final boss was hitting me with those. I'm like, oh my god, is this weapons I should have gotten? Oh no. Oh no. And so, there's a lot of side... there is, I would say 15 is 30 to 40% main game, and then 70 to 60% like side bullshit you can do that just takes away from the main game. I like some of it. I did 2 of the DLCs. I didn't do Ignis's because my sweet boy Ignis, he already lost his sight. He doesn't need more punishment than that. I don't want anything else to happen to him. But Gladio's bit, that was good. Prompto's bit, even better. Prompto's bit fucking blew my mind. Prompto's was excellent. I kind of want to go back and do the rest of the DLCs that I can, but I'm not going to because unfortunately, I don't care enough. And it makes me feel bad to say that, but that's just how it is for me. I wish it was different. But in the end, if you can just roll through the story with you and the boys, you know, cracking a cold one, you going to get married, going to go get your girl, having a fun time, if you can assimilate like the camaraderie and the brotherhood, you know, into the thing. And as long as you don't pick that picture of Cindy with the tits out, at the very end, I think you'll find that 15 is possibly one of the most emotionally charged stories you can have. You know, fuck it. No, it's going top of A tier. That alone. The low points are low, but the high points are so goddamn high. And I love it. I love 15. Despite the fact that I hate it, I love 15. 15 is excellent, even though it's awful. It's trash, and I love it. That has been my tier list. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.